There's something most people don't understand about intuition. Something deep. Something that changes everything. Intuition isn't magic. It's wisdom. The truth about intuition. People say, I don't trust my intuition. I trust logic. But what does that really mean? Jung discovered, intuition isn't the opposite of logic. It's another form of knowing. Logic processes what you know consciously. Intuition processes what you know unconsciously. Both are valid. Both are necessary. But in a world that values only logic, we've lost access to intuition. Andrew's story. Andrew came to me after accepting a job that made sense on paper. Everything was perfect, he said. Better salary, better title, better company. I asked, and how did you feel when you accepted? Uncomfortable, Andrew said. Something didn't feel right, but I ignored it, because logically it was the right decision. 6 months later, he was miserable. The culture was toxic. The boss was abusive. Every day was a struggle. And then he told me something important. I knew. From the beginning, I knew. But I didn't trust it. That's intuition. The principle of intuition. Jung taught, intuition is the function that perceives possibilities. It doesn't see what is, it sees what could be. Logic analyzes data. Intuition synthesizes patterns. Logic is linear. Intuition is holistic. Logic is conscious. Intuition is unconscious. Why you don't trust your intuition. There are 3 reasons you don't trust. Reason 1. Cultural conditioning. We live in a culture that values logic over intuition. Show me the data. Prove it. Where's the evidence? Intuition can't be proven. It can only be felt. Reason 2. Fear of being wrong. Intuition doesn't come with guarantees. You can feel something strongly and be wrong. So you prefer the safety of logic, even when your intuition tells you something different. Reason 3. Disconnection from the body. Intuition speaks through the body, but most people live in their heads, disconnected from their bodies, so they can't hear what intuition is saying. Elizabeth's story. Elizabeth was a financial analyst. She lived completely in logic. Numbers don't lie, she'd say. Feelings do. But then she met Thomas. On paper, he was perfect, Elizabeth said. Educated, successful, stable. I asked, and how did you feel with him? Empty, she said. But I thought it was me, that I was being irrational. So she married him, because logically it made sense. It was the worst mistake of my life, Elizabeth said. My intuition was screaming, but I didn't listen. The 5 ways intuition speaks. Intuition doesn't speak in words. It speaks in sensations. Way 1. Body sensations. A knot in the stomach. Tension in the chest. Heaviness in the shoulders. The body knows before the mind. Way 2. Dreams. Jung taught, dreams are the language of the unconscious. Pay attention to recurring dreams, to powerful images. Way 3. Synchronicities. Meaningful coincidences. Patterns that emerge. Jung called them synchronicities. Intuition recognizes them. Way 4. Sudden knowing. A flash of understanding. A certainty you can't explain. That's intuition. Way 5. Unexplainable resistance. When something makes sense but feels wrong. When your mind says yes, but your body says no. That's intuition speaking. Michael and Sophia's story. Michael was an engineer. Sophia was an artist. He trusted logic. I trusted intuition, Sophia said. They were house hunting. Michael: this house makes sense. Good location, good price, good investment. Sophia: but it doesn't feel right. Something's wrong. Michael: that's not an argument. I need reasons. Sophia: I don't have reasons. I just know it's not the one. They bought the house because Michael's logic won. 6 months later, we discovered massive structural problems, Michael said. It cost us double to fix. She knew, he said. I don't know how, but she knew. How to distinguish intuition from fear. This is the question everyone asks. How do I know if it's intuition or just fear? Here's how to distinguish. Distinction 1. The quality of the feeling. Fear feels frantic, urgent, loud. Intuition feels calm, steady, quiet. Distinction 2. The source. Fear comes from the mind, from thoughts about the future. Intuition comes from the body, from deep knowing. Distinction 3. The consistency. Fear fluctuates. It changes with your mood. Intuition is consistent. It stays no matter how you feel. Patricia's story. Patricia was deciding whether to leave her job. I was scared, she said, but I also had a strong intuition. I asked, how did you distinguish between them? Fear said, what if you fail? What if you don't find anything better? Intuition said, it's time to leave. This no longer serves you. Fear was loud. Intuition was quiet. Fear changed every day. Intuition stayed constant. Patricia left the job and found something better. Not because I had a plan, she said, because I trusted my intuition. The work of developing intuition. Developing intuition requires 3 things. Work 1. Silence. Intuition speaks in whispers. You can't hear it in noise. You need silence, stillness, space. Work 2. Body connection. Intuition speaks through the body. You need to reconnect, to feel, to be present. Meditation, yoga, walking in nature. Work 3. Practice. Intuition is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Start with small decisions. Practice listening. Richard's story. Richard was a lawyer. He lived completely in his head. I never felt anything, he said. I only thought. Then he started meditating. At first, nothing happened, just mental noise. But after 6 months, something changed. I started feeling things in my body, sensations I couldn't explain. And I started trusting them. Now, when I have to make a decision, I consult my intuition first. Not instead of logic, in addition to logic. The signs you're listening to your intuition. How do you know if you're listening? Here are the signs. Sign 1. You feel more. You're no longer just in your head. You feel in your body. Sensations, emotions, body knowing. Sign 2. You know without knowing how. Sometimes you just know, without being able to explain it. That's intuition. Sign 3. Your decisions feel right. Not just logically right, right on a deeper level. Aligned, authentic, true. When these 3 signs are present, you're listening. Now let me show you how to integrate intuition and logic. How to use both. How to become whole. The integration of intuition and logic. Most people think it's either or. Either you trust intuition or you trust logic. But Jung taught, wholeness requires both. The conscious and the unconscious. The rational and the intuitive. The 3 stages of integration. Stage 1. Recognition, 0 to 6 months. First, you must recognize that both are valid. Logic isn't superior to intuition. Intuition isn't superior to logic. They're complementary. Stage 2. Practice, 6 to 18 months. Then, you must practice using both. Use logic to analyze. Use intuition to decide. Use logic for the how. Use intuition for the what and why. Stage 3. Mastery, 18+ months. Finally, you reach mastery. You don't think about which to use. You flow between them naturally. Logic and intuition work together seamlessly. Daniel's integration journey. Daniel went through all 3 stages. Stage 1. The first year, I recognized both were valid. I stopped dismissing my intuition. Stage 2. The second year, I practiced. I'd analyze with logic, then check with intuition. Stage 3. And the third year, they integrated. I didn't have to think about it anymore. Now, 5 years later, I see the best decisions come when both agree. When intuition and logic disagree. This is the hardest situation. Your logic says one thing, your intuition says another. What do you do? Step 1. Pause. Don't rush the decision. When there's conflict, you need more information. Step 2. Investigate. Ask, what is my logic seeing that my intuition isn't? Ask, what is my intuition seeing that my logic isn't? Step 3. Wait for alignment. The best decisions come when both agree. If they don't agree, wait. More will be revealed. Step 4. Trust the process. Sometimes you have to choose. In those moments, trust what feels most aligned with your deepest truth. Jennifer's story of conflict. Jennifer faced a conflict between logic and intuition. I was offered a promotion, she said. Logically, it made perfect sense. But my intuition said no. Step 1. Pause. I asked for time to think. Step 2. Investigate. I asked myself, what is each seeing? Logic saw money, status, opportunity. Intuition saw wrong direction, misalignment, exhaustion. Step 3. Wait. I waited 2 weeks, and then it became clear. The promotion would take me away from what I actually wanted to do. Step 4. Trust. I turned it down, and 6 months later, a better opportunity came. One where logic and intuition both said yes. The 3 types of decisions. There are 3 types of decisions. Type 1. Logic-dominant decisions. Technical decisions, analytical decisions, data-driven decisions. Use logic primarily, intuition as a check. Type 2. Intuition-dominant decisions. Creative decisions, relational decisions, direction decisions. Use intuition primarily, logic as a check. Type 3. Integrated decisions. Life-changing decisions, major choices, crossroads. Use both equally. Wait for alignment. William's story. William learned to distinguish the three types. Type 1. For technical work decisions, I use logic. Which tool, which method? Logic. Type 2. For creative decisions, I use intuition. Which project, which direction? Intuition. Type 3. For major life decisions, I use both, and I wait until they align. That's how I chose my wife. That's how I chose my career path. Both logic and intuition said yes. The obstacles to integration. There are three main obstacles. Obstacle 1. Impatience. You want an answer now. But integration takes time. Alignment takes time. Obstacle 2. Fear of uncertainty. Logic gives you certainty. Intuition gives you possibility. Living with both means living with uncertainty. Obstacle 3. Cultural pressure. People will ask, "Why did you decide that?" And sometimes you can't explain because intuition doesn't translate to words. Catherine's story. Catherine faced all three obstacles. Obstacle 1. I was impatient. I wanted to decide immediately. But I learned the best decisions come when I wait for alignment. Obstacle 2. I was afraid of uncertainty. Logic felt safe. But I learned certainty is an illusion. Intuition navigates uncertainty better. Obstacle 3. People questioned my decisions. Why did you turn that down? I learned to say, it wasn't right for me, and leave it at that. How to know you're integrating. Ask yourself these three questions. Question 1. Do you use both? Are you using both logic and intuition, or just one? If both, you're integrating. Question 2. Do your decisions feel aligned? Do your decisions feel right on multiple levels? Logically sound and intuitively aligned? If yes, you're integrating. Question 3. Are you at peace? Are you at peace with your decisions, even when others don't understand? If yes, you're integrating. Benjamin's story. Benjamin asked himself these questions. Question 1. Yes, I use both. Logic for analysis, intuition for direction. Question 2. Yes, my decisions feel aligned. They make sense and feel right. Question 3. Yes, I'm at peace, even when I can't explain to others. So I know, Benjamin said, I'm on the right path. Not perfect, but integrated. The practice of daily integration. Here's how to practice daily. Morning, set intention. Ask, what does my intuition want me to know today? Sit in silence. Listen. Throughout the day, check in. Before decisions, pause. Ask, what does logic say? What does intuition say? Evening, reflect. Review your day. When did you listen to intuition? When did you ignore it? What happened? Sarah's daily practice. Sarah practiced daily integration. Morning. I meditate for 10 minutes. I ask, what do I need to know? Throughout. Before decisions, I pause. I check both logic and intuition. Evening. I journal. I reflect on when I listened and when I didn't. This practice changed everything, Sarah said. I'm no longer torn between logic and intuition. They work together. They guide me together. Indication is possible, but it requires practice. Practice listening. Practice trusting. Practice waiting. Are you ready? Are you ready to honor both logic and intuition? Are you ready to wait for alignment? Are you ready to trust the process? If so, wholeness awaits. Not the wholeness of perfection, the wholeness of integration. Not the certainty of logic alone, the wisdom of both. Not either or, both and. Now let me tell you the deepest truth about intuition and logic. The truth that changes everything. It's not about choosing one. Here's what most people don't understand. The goal isn't to choose between intuition and logic. It's to become the space where both can speak. The conscious and the unconscious, the rational and the intuitive, the known and the unknown. The truth about wholeness. Jung taught, individuation is the process of becoming whole. Not perfect, whole. Whole means integrating all parts of yourself. The logical part, the intuitive part, the conscious part, the unconscious part. Victoria's story. Victoria spent years divided. I was at war with myself, she said. My logic said one thing, my intuition said another. I felt torn, fragmented, incomplete. I asked, what changed? I stopped trying to choose, Victoria said. I started listening to both, not as enemies, as partners, and something shifted. So we began the work. Not the work of choosing, the work of integrating. Therapy, meditation, reflection, practice. It was the hardest work of my life, she said, but also the most liberating. And when she met James, something was different. I didn't have to choose between what made sense and what felt right. They were the same. Logic and intuition agreed. The 3 layers of integration. Layer 1, external integration, 0 to 6 months. First, you must integrate in your decisions, using both logic and intuition for choices. This layer is most visible, most obvious. Layer 2, internal integration, 6 to 18 months. Then, you must integrate in your identity, seeing yourself as both rational and intuitive. This layer is deeper, harder to see. Layer 3, existential integration, 18+ months. Finally, you must integrate at the deepest level, becoming the space where both exist. This is the deepest layer, the hardest to reach. Christopher's integration journey. Christopher integrated all 3 layers. Layer 1. The first year, I integrated in decisions. I used both logic and intuition. Layer 2. The second year, I integrated in identity. I stopped seeing myself as logical or intuitive. I was both. Layer 3. And the third year, I integrated existentially. I became the space where both could speak. And when I reached that, Christopher said, something emerged. Not a new way of deciding, a new way of being. The person who doesn't have to choose, who holds both. The deepest purpose of integration. The deepest purpose is this. Integration exists to reveal truth. Not logical truth alone, not intuitive truth alone. The truth that emerges when both speak together. Every integration is a revelation of what's truly right in this moment. The 3 gifts of integration. Gift 1. Clarity. Integration gives you clarity, not the clarity of certainty, the clarity of truth. You see what's really there. Gift 2. Confidence. Integration gives you confidence, not the confidence of knowing everything, the confidence of trusting yourself. You trust your process. Gift 3. Peace. Integration gives you peace, not the peace of no conflict, the peace of wholeness. You're no longer at war with yourself. Alexander's story. Alexander received all 3 gifts. Integration gave me clarity, he said. I see situations more completely now. It gave me confidence. I trust my decisions, even when others don't understand. And it gave me peace. I'm no longer torn. I'm whole. And that wholeness changed everything. How to work with the integrated self. Here's how to work with integration. Step 1. Create space. First, create space for both voices. Don't rush to decide. Let both speak. Step 2. Listen deeply. Second, listen to what each is saying. What does logic see? What does intuition feel? Step 3. Look for the pattern. Third, look for the pattern that emerges. When both speak, what truth appears? Step 4. Trust the synthesis. Fourth, trust what emerges from both. The synthesis is wiser than either alone. Step 5. Act from wholeness. Fifth, act from that integrated place. Not from logic alone, not from intuition alone, from both. Robert's story. Robert worked with his integrated self. Step 1. I create space. I don't rush decisions anymore. Step 2. I listen deeply. What is logic saying? What is intuition feeling? Step 3. I look for patterns. What emerges when both speak? Step 4. I trust the synthesis. It's always wiser than either alone. Step 5. I act from wholeness. And my life changed. When I integrated these steps, Robert said, something beautiful emerged. Not who I was trying to be, who I always was. Whole, integrated, complete. The final truth about integration. The final truth is this. Integration isn't the enemy of clarity. It's the path to it. It shows you what's truly right, what truly matters, how to truly live. And when you do the work, life changes. Not by choosing perfectly, by becoming whole. 3 final questions. Before we end, ask yourself. Question 1. Are you ready to stop choosing? Choosing between logic and intuition keeps you divided. Are you ready to integrate both? Question 2. Are you ready to become whole? Wholeness requires holding opposites. Are you ready for that? Question 3. Are you ready to trust the synthesis? The synthesis of logic and intuition is wiser than either alone. Are you ready to trust it? Emma's story. Emma asked herself these questions, and the answer was clear. Yes, she said. I'm ready to stop choosing. Ready to become whole. Ready to trust. 3 years later, her life was completely different. And when I met David, I felt the old urge to analyze or just feel. But this time, I did both. Not because David was different, because I was different. And the relationship is different. It's not perfect, Emma said, but it's whole. It's not without challenges, but there's integration. It's not without uncertainty, but there's trust. That's what integration means, she said. Not avoiding conflict, living from wholeness. Integration is waiting. Waiting to be lived, to be experienced, to be completed. But it won't happen by itself. It requires courage, consciousness, commitment. Are you ready? If so, stop choosing. Become whole. Trust the synthesis. And when you do, something changes. Not just your decisions, you. Not just what you know, how you know. Not just logic or intuition, both. And in that integration, you find what you were looking for. Not perfect clarity, true clarity. Not the absence of doubt, the presence of wholeness. Not either or, both and. That's integration. That's individuation. That's living consciously.